Well, hi, everybody. It's so nice of you to ask me to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity. Anytime I can talk about my art gallery, it's a huge bonus. I've been here 6 years now, just in the depot. And before that, I was above Frank's for, can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
this on?
yeah. So the microphone is for the people on the Zoom. It's not for us in the
Oh,
room. Sorry, I should have made that
oh,
clear.
okay. But anyway, so I started out in a couple of other galleries around town. I was at Park Place in Town Center. I was in the gallery at 119th and Knoll. I was the only local artist down on the plaza in the Donald Robb Gallery across from the Cheesecake Factory. I had my easel in the middle of that lobby, and the owner just said, just pretend like this is your studio, Cathy. And so it was so nice. Um, it was a dream of a lifetime to be on the plaza. People came in to that gallery to buy art, which was super cool. Where I am now, though, is just fantastic. It's so much history. It is, I love to tell stories about all the different things that have used that space. And I'm very humbled, very honored to be in that gallery. It's a beautiful space, and people are blown away when they come in and they get the feel and every one of them, I wish I had a dollar for every single time somebody came into the gallery and they said, we drive by it all the time. And we always say we're going to stop. And today's the day we're going to stop. And it's wonderful when they come in and they take their time, they look through the gallery. I represent many different master artists. We have, I teach classes twice a week. We have not only weekly instruction, but we have master workshops. We have artists come from all over the country so that the artists in this area do not have to travel. And I've had a national show there. I've had an international show there. We've had many society shows. And it's just, usually I average about 4 nice shows a year. And it's wonderful bringing that art to Parkville. I, uh, I find it a real duty and a real honor to provide art for anybody that lives in the area that wants to come and see some fantastic art. When I first came to Parkville, which was back in 1998, we uh, we didn't live very far away. We lived kind of in the Shawnee, Lenexa, Merriam area. And we drove up, we moved up here. And so I started kind of exploring. And for a 25-minute distance, I really didn't know Parkville. So I drove all around and I thought it was just so charming, so beautiful. The rolling hills. What impressed me the most was the kind people. I was just very impressed with how kind and welcoming everybody was. I really felt as if I wanted to make Parkville. I, I felt like this is where I could build like an artist colony. A real sense of community is what I was looking for. And so for the first 5 years, I painted from home, and at that point, and then I went down to Parkville one day. I set up my easel. I was on the street painting some of the fronts of the businesses. And then I went in and out of the different businesses and I said, I just painted this one. Would you like your storefront painted? And they told me to go find Gary Warden because I had painted one of his buildings. And Gary bought it right from me immediately. But he also said, in a few years, I'm going to build a restaurant named Piropos, and I would like for you to paint the mural. And that kind of started everything off really well, too. And so I went in and I painted the first restaurant, and it was so much fun. And then he said, now I want you to think about this while you're painting it, but eventually I'm going to grow and I'm going to build another restaurant. So when you design this, think about where we might cut away a doorway. And we will take that doorway, we'll put it in the new restaurant, and it'll be how you'll get into like a banquet room. So from there, I was asked to paint in different beauty shops, churches, private residences, but also like the Parkville Athletic Complex. I painted 21 21-foot tall mural there. And it was Michael Jordan and all of the greats, all of the legends from sports. And I remember everything was really tall. Michael Jordan was 15 feet in height. And so that was just really fun. Dave Barth went out and bought a scissor lift. And I don't know if all of you know what a scissor lift is, but it's when you get on this machine, you can drive it and it expands. And so you've got all your paint and you have some room to paint when you're painting at that height and at that scale. You still have to get down and you have to get all the way back at the back of the gymnasium and you have to see how you're doing because you're really painting large. But anyway, I did a lot of murals. I've got another one coming up in mid-Kansas City in May. I'll be painting on the outside of a building as well as on the inside of the building. I don't want to do it anymore. After this one, it's like, that's enough. My favorite thing is portraiture. I was very lucky to get the honor of painting Patrick Mahomes, and he has that portrait of himself. And that was just a lot of fun. And I did one of Tiger Woods before he was a pro. This was when he was in the Pro-Am. And so I presented his dad with a print of Tiger back then. And this was when Tiger was a household word, and he's come full circle, I believe. But anyway, those kind of things are fun to do because you paint people that you know, but nobody else knows that that really looks like who you painted. So you need to do somebody famous occasionally so that people know that you can capture a likeness. The things that I offer in my gallery would be fine art, of course, art classes, workshops, featured artists like this. We have extended this show, but I have 3 wonderful artists right now that all of their work is in my big gallery. So there's 3 different individual rooms there. And what we've done now every year, this will be our 9th year, and we didn't do it last year because of COVID, but I bring artists from all over the region, and I'm sure all of you have heard of Paint Parkville. And it's just this wonderful experience of the crowds and people being able to stand there and watch an artist paint from life, be able to paint at their easel, ask them questions. And then that show is in the gallery and it will be up there for 2 months. So we're going to do that in August this year. And what's fun about that is I try to help artists sell paintings. It's really, I've always said that I would never be a gambler. My husband and I would occasionally go to Las Vegas and I would just hand them money. I would never get anything back. So I would just go shopping or maybe have a day of beauty. And then we would go out to dinner, we'd go to a show, but I would never gamble. I just wouldn't win. But I think having an art gallery and trying to sell art, I guess I'm a really big gambler because, you want to paint something that you find beautiful, but you can never really paint for other people. You paint for yourself and you find the love in it. And people see the love that you put into that piece of work. I'm one of those really sensitive types. One of the things that I wanted to share with you is, community really is everything. I think the reason most of my friends that are artists paint, it is so much fun. It is so gratifying, but it also is a way to communicate. So you have a connection with people, and that's the bottom line. That's the main reason. I think also, I always have believed that whatever your hand finds to do, you should do it with all your might. So I always give God the glory. I wanted to tell you something about Paint Parkville. We hit all different kinds of themes every year. And we have people that do purchase awards. So let's say somebody has a new business, they really want to get the word out. And they can imagine, say, 35 artists, anywhere from 17 to 35 artists might hit that business during the week. Or at any one time, there might be 12 artists out in front of your store painting just your store. Well, there's nothing better. It's like the best of all worlds. You get to pick your very favorite painting out of all those paintings to keep for a $550 purchase price. And it's just so much fun. The main reason I ever did this was I'd gone to Augusta, Missouri, and some other places to do these plein air events. And the community came out for that. And people came from St. Louis, they came from all over the place to watch the artists. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we really drew a crowd and we drew people into Parkville so that we would bring all those people that would go into the restaurants, they'd go shopping, they would really facilitate the community. And then they would take a little piece of Parkville home with them and remember the beauty and the charm of Parkville. So there's three things. I know Matt talked about the three P's when he's talking about economic development. Well, there's three P's in plein air painting as well. And they are just as important. And the first one is painting. You have to have a place that you can paint that's beautiful. You have to have a place where you can park, but you also have a place where you have to go potty. So see, I've got three P's as well. The one thing I think what's kind of fun too is how everything, you can feel like you have such a blessed life. And concentrating on art from the time I was maybe 3 is just really not the thing that I've always wanted to do the very most. And so I've been very, very fortunate. I've worked hard. When you have a gallery, you're teaching, you're having shows, you're talking to people coming in, you're working on commissions. So you're being pulled in a million different directions all the time. So I've always really worked hard, but they always say the harder you work, the luckier you are. And another kind of a fun little thing about the gallery is there really is a lot of history down there. There's picture frame molding clear up by the top of the walls that go all the way around. And a long time ago, when people came down there to catch a train, it's the same trim that was there. And from there is where paintings hung, as you know, in older homes. And that's all still there. In the big gallery, it was a dirt floor. And there's 2 big walls that would slide. They'd bring in the cargo. There was a jail in that room. The other doors where it would open up, go out to the loading dock, and they would load the train. In my little office is a bay window. And a conductor would sit in there, pull a cord when the train was coming, and let them know whether or not they had mail to pick up. When there was a judge that was in there at one time, and they used to hold court. And I forgot his name. I was going to look it up. I apologize. But I know where he sat in his desk. When the train would go by, they'd have to pause for about 15 seconds in the middle of court, let the train go by. And so you know that in the room where I teach classes, where people would sit and wait for the train, the people, and where my office is where they would buy their train tickets. And then in the great big cargo room, the cargo hold, and the jail, you can imagine all the stories and all of the exciting history. I know that they've told me, people have come through, they've said, I used to catch the train in here when I was a little girl. And there would be times when there'd be a casket right there in the lobby, because that casket was going to be put up on the train and go to the cemetery, in some particular cemetery somewhere. So there's lots and lots of things. I want to do a lot of research and find out not only the art of Parkville, but the art of the world and the art of Europe and everything during the life of the gallery. And I would love to have some tours where people would come in. They'd not only see the art, but they'd hear about art from all over the world. And I'd also like to invite people to please come to the gallery if you've never seen it. You'll really be surprised. You'll be very pleased. I think it's a great purpose for this building. And the thing that I'd like to invite you to do and to challenge you to do is to come in, find your favorite painting. I'll always have paper and pencils, have a chair, and sit in front of that painting and do a little sketch of it yourself. It would be so fun. And I would give some help. The other thing is you could go out on the brick patio, watch the trains go by, enjoy all the flowers, and then you could draw some trees just from the gallery, or walk down into the park, sit in the shelter, draw some trees, and then I'd love to see what you did when you were done. But it's just one of those things that it is peaceful, it quiets, it makes the world kind of stop for a little while. You get lost in your art. It's called getting into the zone. And we do it from maybe knitting, sewing, cooking. We all get lost in the zone. But art is another great place to get lost in the zone. It's very gratifying.
Thank you.
Well, I'd love to answer any questions, and I'm eager to go into the breakout room.